Hey YouTube, Rob Lawler with Lawler Artistry. Hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. It's December 27th. Get ready for the new year. Being caught up on projects and everything would be a good time to kind of start a fun one. I talked about it in the past videos. This is an old Rivet forge. They used them on shipbuilders. They'd be down at the docks. They'd have literally blacksmiths just making rivets to rivet the hulls of the ships together. The Titanic was made this way, other ships were made this way. But this one here is missing a bunch of parts and pieces and everything else. I will add a picture of what one looks like so everybody can see one, in its actual glory and the way it's supposed to be done. This would have a big leather belt on it, which came down here to the fan, and the tweer would be right here. And they just made rivets. It was a pump handle. That's what this is. This would move up and down. As you can see, it still kind of does. But I'm missing a whole bunch of parts and pieces for it, so it's not really worth trying to build it back to original. But it can still be used. It can still be used as a forge. I've got an extra tweer here, clinker breaker, clean out. I've got everything here. This will just be basically a forge with a hand crank blower, which can be attached down here. But I mean, I guess I got some welding to do, some bending and everything else, and getting this all out. This is, of course, I mean, this looks cool, but it's going to be in the way of the tweer and everything else. So it's going to basically be a forge that we build that anybody can use. I'm not going to personally hang on to it. I don't need another forge. So this one will probably be up for sale when I'm all said and done. And if you're getting started in the blacksmithing and want to do some cold forging, then this would be great for you. With that being said, we've got to basically clean it all up, wire wheel it, figure out what parts and pieces we need to get, and start manufacturing. So I think this hole might be too small for the clinker breaker. Might have to open that up a little bit. Maybe drill some holes so that these can attach. These got to be go away and get some new threaded rod to go up through. This goes on the bottom, down here, and that holds it all together. And it's all seized up. It needs to be freed, new bolts, new everything. So on that, let's get started. It's going to be a fun little project. If anybody's interested in this, like I said, when it's all said and done, it will be pretty much up for sale. So yeah, I guess first things first is let's get it apart and look over the parts and pieces, figure, and then we got to start cleaning and figure out what we need to get for bolts. I mean, because some of these bolts are so bad that I'm going to have to cut them out. Like here's a bolt that held this leg on, and right here is the bolt. It's been rusted right in half. I found this on the side of the road at a farmer's house. It was sitting on a stump. I stopped in and asked, hey, what are you going to do with that old Rivet forge? And he says, you want it? I said, yep, I'll take it. So, I mean, there's ways of finding things, anvils, coal forges, things like that. You just keep your eyes open and don't be afraid to ask. Because a lot of this stuff people don't even, it's scrap metal to them. And to anybody in blacksmithing or getting into it, to us, this is like gold. We need these things. So, like I said, on that note, let's get started, get her cleaned up, get her fixed up, and back into service. So I guess the first things first is get her apart. Okay. We'll be right back. There you go. You can see this one here has been rusted through. So we're going to do some welding, some bending, get her straightened back out. But that's pretty much, we got to take this piece off, and it's ready to be cleaned up. Now I'm saving all the parts and pieces, so if I need them for something else on this build, then we go ahead and do it. But basically, like I said, we're going to do a cleanup. We'll probably hit it with the wire wheel on a lot of these, and even the flap discs, just to make it a nice surface. We don't have to go crazy. It'll get painted and everything else. And with these rivet forges, you actually have to line them with refractory. Now, I'm not going to do that. Whoever the next owner is or wants to do it can do it. Because then I have to charge a lot more because of course I have to do the refractory part of it, and the refractory's not cheap. So, okay, let's get this piece off, and then you know, she's broke down and ready to go. I'm going to try to break these loose with a wrench, but they're pretty rusted in there. Like I said, a lot of these pieces are not going to be reused. I'll probably break right off when I... Oh, it moved. Look at that. Woo. That one did. It's this one here I'm wondering about. She's pretty bad. That moved too. Look at that. We'll be able to pull this right apart, hopefully. Get this out of there. Why don't we save those little screws? Just because we might need them somewhere else. I'll do this project. Okay, how do you come out of there? That's the question. I think it's just a pin. When in doubt, hit it with a hammer, right? Let's see, nothing moving. Definitely moving the rust up though. You may end up taking a cutoff wheel and going right down through there and cutting that off. When you pull it up that way. Like I said, this is not going to be reused. So I'm going to go ahead and get this off and we'll be back. And there you go. It's all broke down, all the parts and pieces. Well, I got to get these yet, but you know, the rivet forge itself is broke down, ready for cleaning and getting nuts and bolts out and anything that's stuck. And so yeah, and now it's just and tools of the trade. A little Tanya Harding punch, you know, just to knock out the bolts once you cut them off. And that's pretty much how I got it apart. And we just keep going. Like I said, I'm going to save a lot of these parts and pieces just in case. I think we will probably start with the rivet forge itself, get that cleaned up, get the legs fixed so I can stand it on its own. And then we can work on putting the tuyere in there, because this is going to go right here somewhere. You know, and then these big bolts go up through, and attach, and it holds it to the forge itself, the pot. And of course the creaker breaker goes inside there. So all this has got to, we got to figure out where everything's going to be able to move. This piece will hold the blower. You know, this gets attached to the forge, this gets attached to that, and then the bolt goes through, and the hand crank blower will get put there. So, okay, on to cleaning and getting her pretty back up. So, okay, we're going to get back to work. We'll be back. Okay, so here we are. Everything's all torn down. Everything's been wire wheeled. That's, you might be able to see the rust dust in the air. So that's pretty much where we're going to end it today. Tomorrow we'll get going back and putting this thing together, figuring out the tuyere, where that's going to go. Maybe have to drill a hole or two. You know, all these pieces are disassembled, cleaned up. I mean, they're pitted, but you know, there's a lot of steel here. There's a lot. It's going to last a lot longer. They make these things to last. I mean, they don't make them like they used to. So tomorrow we'll get going on putting this thing together, getting the legs on it. Oh, I did weld up the leg. My booger gum welds. It's going to be fine for what we're doing. All let's do is hold up the pot. We'll probably have to make some pieces of steel that wrap around for the tripod part of it. Down here there's a couple bolt holes, so we'll get them in. We'll get some bolts so we can start putting this thing together. And then, yeah, we'll go from there and make this thing a workable forge again for somebody. So, till tomorrow, guys. Like, follow, subscribe. See you later.